In this recording, we're going to look at how Excel can be used in time value of money problem solving. And you're going to actually be completing this assignment in Excel yourself. I'm going to show you how to do much of it, but then you have to recreate it in your own Excel spreadsheet, and you'll do a little bit on your own as well. We have a company that bought a piece of equipment. They made a down payment of $2,000, and then they also signed a note. 5-year note, and it requires annual payments of $1,000 with an 8% annual percentage rate. Then you're asked to solve for the journal entry. Well, we know that we're going to credit cash $2,000. Now we also know that we're going to make loan payments of $5,000, but actually this would be wrong to record $5,000 in the note payable because that's $5,000 in the future, and we're recording the note today. So we've got to figure out, well, what's the present value of that note? So go to your Excel spreadsheet, create a data entry area that's going to look something like this. And it's going to have the same 5 variables as your calculator: interest rate, number of periods, present value payment, and future value. So, and when you do the interest rate, set it up so it shows as a percentage. 5 periods, payment is $1,000. And we don't have any future value in this particular problem, no big lump sum. So set that up, enter in the variables, the numbers for this particular situation, and then put your cursor on present value. Excel has formulas pre-built into it, so click on the formula, click on financial formulas, and a whole bunch of them come up. And we're going to scroll down to find present value, and it looks like a PV, present value. Click on it, and it's going to have all these variables. The rate, now I could, scoot over here, I could enter in 8%, but why bother when I've already got a data table for it? So I'm just going to click on my Excel spreadsheet, and it'll enter in the B15. Number of periods, that's 5, so I click on it. The payment, that's $1,000. Future value, 0. So I just referenced to my Excel spreadsheet. You can ignore the time because we don't need to, the type, because it doesn't pertain to this particular situation. Click OK, and we get $3,993 roughly is our present value. So I'm going to go up here and put that in as the present value of my note. So if I buy equipment paying cash plus sign in a note that's worth $3,993 today, then the total cost of the equipment is this $5,993. So then you can complete your journal entry. Let's go down here. One of the things I want you to do is a loan amortization schedule. So we're going to start at the very beginning of the loan, so that's year 0, and at the end of year 1, end of year 2, end of year 3, end of year 4, end of year 5. So the loan balance, and here I don't want you typing in much of numbers. Don't type in much numbers. Now formulas, that's a different story. So this is going to equal my beginning balance, right? And by the way, I rounded these numbers to whole numbers in the schedule. Feel free to do the same because it kind of gets a little annoying seeing all the pennies involved. So we're going to start with this, but I don't want a negative balance. So I'm going to go up and adjust this and put a minus sign in front of that B7. And so now it shows up as a positive $3,993. Our payments, I can just reference that. That's going to equal this $1,000. And then, it's always going to be 1,000, so let's just copy that down. Well, when I copy it down, I don't get 1,000 all the way. I'm trying to copy B18, and when I go to the next row, it's going to say B19. And then it'll say B20. Normally, that's what I would want Excel to do, to reference it by going down each row. But we don't want it to do that this time. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to tell it, stay on B18. And I can do that by putting a $sign in front of the B and a $sign in front of the 18. That'll tell it to keep it stationary. So now when I copy it down, I get $1,000 all the way. Interest rate, or solving for interest expense, that's just going to be my beginning of the period, right? My beginning of the period principal, and then I will take that times my interest rate, some of you may already be catching on that I need to do a little bit more there, because I can copy that down and it's going to do what I want. I mean, it started taking E23, which is this number, and then it's going to do E24, which will be that number. And then this will do E25, which is that number. And yes, that's what I would want it to do. The problem is, I want it to stay on this 8%. So in my formula, I need to edit. That B15 needs to have a $ in front of the B and a $ in front of the 15. Okay, so then let's copy it down. Still going to look a little weird because I don't have anything over here yet. Principal. Well, how do I solve for the principal amount? Well, if I pay $1,000 and of that amount, $319 is interest, then the remainder is principal. So I'm just going to take $1,000 minus that $319, and there's my principal payment. And I can copy that down. The other one, since there's no interest yet, those are going to show up as 1,000. Then my ending balance. Well, I'm going to take my beginning, subtract principal, and I'll get my new ending balance. So the end of year one, I'll take the beginning balance, subtract the principal payment, and there's my end of year balance for year one. Copy all this down, and we're done. It's really fast. So you'll know you're finished. You should get a zero balance at the end. If you don't have zero here, you've probably made an error somewhere else. So I should end up with a zero amount. The second part of this assignment asks you to do the depreciation schedule. So here's a loan amortization schedule. Now I also want you to go up. Here's the cost of the equipment, $5,993. See what? I'm just going to be lazy and reference instead of typing that in. At the very beginning of the first year, there's no accumulated. So book value is going to be, cost plus accumulated depreciation. It's also going to be cost, because there isn't any accumulated depreciation. But, what I want you to do, I give you information about the equipment, calculate depreciation expense, and finish this all out, okay? So you need to go set up your loan amortization where you have data input, fill that out, and then also set it up like this for your depreciation schedule and fill that out, and then you're going to be done. And one last thing I want to point out, back here on the loan amortization table, if we have these data input, let's say, what if interest rates went up from 8 to 9%? How's that going to change my present value? So let's look at that. So all of a sudden, present value changes, and the whole amortization table, the interest, principal, all of that changed, but I still end up with a zero balance. Or what if our payments are going to be $850? How would that change everything? So again, it will just automatically, doesn't even take it a second. It just quickly changes everything. So that's why I want you to have a data input, because we'll be building on this in later assignments.